My son burst into this place and froze. I was sprawled out in the garage, hungry, bruised, like a dog in a corner. "Dad, what happened to you? Why are you in the garage? You get a pension of $7,000 a month," he exclaimed in shock. Right at that moment, my son-in-law rushed out of the house, proudly declaring, "That pension is mine. I'm keeping all of it." My son took off his watch, and you won't believe what he did next. Before I continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you are listening from in the comments. The cold concrete seeped through the thin mattress and dug into my spine. I opened my eyes to the faint light filtering through the garage window, dust motes floating in the single August sunbeam. 68 years old, 40 years as a firefighter in the big city, and I was waking up like a dog in my own garage. My left shoulder throbbed where Daniel had shoved me yesterday, not hard enough to break anything. He was careful about that, but enough to remind me who was in control. I sat up, feeling my joints creak, and wrapped the rough blanket around my shoulders. Through the small window that faced the kitchen, I could see them. Daniel, broad-shouldered and comfortable, was sitting at my dining table, eating scrambled eggs on my plates. Mary was beside him, her blonde hair pulled back, her eyes fixed on her coffee mug as if it held answers she did not want to find anywhere else. My daughter, my little girl who used to climb into my lap after having nightmares, who begged me to read just one more story. She wasn't looking toward the garage. She hadn't looked directly at me in days. My stomach growled. Yesterday I'd eaten 3 saltine crackers. The water from the garage sink tasted like rust, but it filled the emptiness a little. I got up slowly, testing my balance, and shuffled toward the kitchen door. My hand reached for the handle. The door swung open before I could knock. Daniel filled the frame, his 6 feet 3 inches against my 5 feet 9 inches. His eyes were flat, uninterested. "I just need coffee," I said. My voice came out raspy. "Just coffee, Daniel. The garage residents do not get kitchen privileges." He crossed his arms. "That's the rule. You know the rule." I looked past him toward Mary. She was staring at her plate now, pushing the egg in circles with her fork. "Mary, honey?" She didn't lift her head. "Daniel is right. You should go back, Dad." "Not Pappy. Not Papito. Just Dad," said with that flat voice she'd been using for 2 weeks since they moved me out here. The formality cut deeper than Daniel's shove. Daniel's mouth curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. "Oh, and your pension came yesterday. Don't worry. I'm handling everything just fine." He closed the door. The deadbolt clicked. I stood there for a moment, my hands still raised, before turning back to the mattress. My fingers clenched into fists. Then they let go, and clenched again. The anger was there, small but bright, like an ember buried in ash. My old flip phone was on the concrete floor beside my pillow. I had kept it for emergencies after my smartphone disappeared 10 days ago. Daniel said he'd taken it to pay the phone bill. I picked it up with shaking hands and checked the bank text notification, the automated system I set up months ago, when I still controlled my own accounts. Withdrawal, $7,000, new balance, $147.23. $7,000. My entire pension payment. Gone. I sat on the mattress and stared at the screen until the numbers blurred. On the wall in front of me, my old firefighter uniform hung from a nail, the dark blue fabric, the badge catching the faint light, the patches from Station 19, where I'd worked my last 15 years. That uniform had seen smoke and flames. It had been soaked in water from broken hydrants. It had smelled of ash, sweat, and courage. Now it watched me sleep on a garage floor. I had trusted Daniel. That was my first mistake. 3 months ago, when he offered to help with my finances, I thought he was being kind, responsible, a good son-in-law, helping his retired father-in-law manage the bills. I had signed the papers without reading them carefully. Mary had smiled and called me a good father. Daniel had shaken my hand. The trap had already closed. I just hadn't felt it yet. Through the window, I watched Daniel laughing at something on the television. My television. In my living room. He'd rearranged the furniture last week, pushed my recliner into a corner, and replaced it with a leather couch I'd never seen before. Charged to my credit card. Probably. Everything was charged to my accounts now. I looked at the flip phone again. Julian's number was the only one programmed. My son, who lived 2 hours away in the neighboring state capital with his wife and children. I hadn't spoken to him in 3 months. Daniel had taken my smartphone before I could call him, and this old phone had no credit. The automated voice had made that clear yesterday when I tried to call. Insufficient credit. Please add funds to make this call. But I had no funds. Daniel had everything. I put down the phone and walked back to the window. My reflection stared back at me from the glass. Thinner than I used to be. Grey beard, stubble on my jaw, bruises turning yellow on my shoulder. An old man. A defeated man. Except something in my chest had shifted. The ember was spreading. I had spent 40 years running into burning buildings while other people ran out. I had carried unconscious victims down smoke-filled stairwells. I had been on roofs while flames licked at my boots, figuring out how to get my team home alive. The fire department had given me 17 commendations. The mayor had shaken my hand at my retirement ceremony, and now I was sleeping in a garage, begging for coffee, watching a man steal my life piece by piece. Daniel thought I was broken. He thought he had won. I touched the badge on my uniform. I felt the cold metal under my fingertips. In a fire, sometimes you have to retreat, regroup, find another way in. Sometimes you look trapped, but you are just waiting for the right moment, positioning yourself. I turned away from the window and sat down on the mattress again. The flip phone lay beside me. Useless. My pension was gone. My home was occupied. My daughter would not meet my eyes, but I was not finished. I needed to understand exactly how I ended up here. When did the trap close? Where did I miss the warning signs? I closed my eyes and forced myself to remember, step by step, carefully, how a respected firefighter had become a prisoner in his own garage. The memories came slowly and painfully, but they came. I sat on that mattress for a long time, forcing myself to retrace the months. My hands gripped the edge of the thin fabric until my knuckles turned white. The truth was there, waiting. I just had to stop being afraid of it. 6 months ago, everything had been normal. I had been living alone since Helen died 4 years ago, doing fine. The pension covered everything, the mortgage paid off, the bills manageable, even some left over for the grandkids' birthday presents. Then Mary called. She and Daniel had lost their apartment. Something about unpaid rent, a dispute with the landlord. Could they stay with me just temporarily, just until they got back on their feet? I said yes immediately. She was my daughter. What else was I going to do? They moved in with 2 suitcases and a lot of promises. Daniel would find work soon. Mary was applying for office jobs. They would be gone in 2 months. 3 at the very most. I set them up in the guest room and the extra bedroom. I told them to make themselves comfortable. Daniel had started talking about finances within a week. The memory focused now, sharp as broken glass. 3 months ago, June. We had been sitting at the kitchen table after dinner. Mary was doing the dishes, humming something. Daniel had a folder of papers printed from the computer I let him use. Arthur, he had said, kind, helpful. I've been thinking, you're managing a lot of things here. Bills, insurance, the pension payments. How about I help out? Take some of that burden off your shoulders. I was tired. I'd spent the afternoon weeding in the heat. I appreciate it, Daniel, but I have it under control. I know you do. He opened the folder. But what if something happens? If you get sick or miss a payment, with a power of attorney, I can handle everything. You just relax, enjoy your retirement. I frowned at the papers. Legal language, dense paragraphs. Power of attorney? That sounds serious. It's standard. Limited power of attorney? Just for banking convenience? He clicked a pen, placed it on the first signature line. You keep control of everything important. Mary had walked over then. She set a cup of coffee beside me, kissed my cheek. Dad, Daniel is good with finances. It will be easier for everyone. Are you sure this is standard? For family helping family? Absolutely. Daniel had smiled. My uncle did the same thing with my grandfather. It just made everything smoother. I signed. 3 pages, 6 signature lines, initials in 4 places. Daniel had pointed out each spot, and I signed without reading the fine print. Why would I have to? It was family. The trap was set. For a while, nothing changed. The bills were paid. My pension arrived, same as always. Daniel said he'd moved everything to a joint account for easier management. But I had access. If I needed cash, I could ask for it. No problem. 6 weeks passed before I noticed. The memories jumped forward. Late July, I was opening the mail at the kitchen table. Mostly junk. Some catalogues. Then the bank statement. I opened it out of habit and stared at the balance. $347. That couldn't be right. My pension was $7,000 a month, even with the bills. There should have been thousands left over. I called the bank. The woman on the phone was polite, patient. Yes, Mr. Sim. Your pension is being direct deposited. No, not to this account anymore. It's being automatically transferred to a different account, the joint account ending in 4792, created 2 months ago. I found Daniel in the living room, watching television. Daniel, I need to talk to you about the bank accounts. He barely looked up. What about them? My pension? It's going to another account. The woman at the bank said, joint account. Ah, that's the one I set up. More efficient. He reached for the remote, switched the channel. Don't worry about it. But I need access to... You have access. I'll give you cash as you need it. He looked at me then, and something in his eyes had been different. Harder. It's better this way, Arthur. Trust me. The alarms had started sounding then, quiet at first, but there. I was watching more carefully after that. I noticed the new laptop that appeared in the extra bedroom, the expensive dinners Daniel brought home, fine cuts of steak, wine, food I couldn't afford, the leather jacket Mary was wearing, tags still attached, $300 visible on the sleeve. When the credit card statement came, forwarded from the joint account, I saw it all. Electronics, restaurants, clothes, furniture, thousands of dollars, my thousands. 1 month ago I confronted him. The memory burned now, made my hands shake, even sitting in the garage. I waited until Mary was at the grocery store. Daniel had been in my recliner, feet up, drinking my beer. Daniel, where is my pension? I held up the bank statements, 6 of them, highlighted in yellow. The account is empty. Where is my money? He put the beer down, slowly. Our money? You signed it over. I am managing it properly. Managing? You're stealing it. My voice had risen. I never agreed to this. I signed papers for convenience, not for you to… He stood up, fast. Suddenly he was close, using his size, his height. I backed up instinctively. You signed the papers, he said, his voice cold. It's legal. Power of attorney means I control the accounts. And if you cause trouble, Arthur, I'll have you declared incompetent. You're old. You're forgetful. Clearly not capable of handling your own affairs. Think about that. The assisted living. The shove came then. Not a punch. That would leave marks people would ask about. Just his palm against my chest. Hard enough to send me stumbling backward against the wall. My shoulder hit first. The same shoulder that throbbed now. Mary came home 10 minutes later. She saw me holding my shoulder, saw Daniel sitting calmly with his beer. She looked at me, looked at Daniel, and didn't say a word. That was when I knew. She was complicit, not forced, not tricked. Complicit. 2 weeks ago. They stopped pretending. Daniel called me into the dining room like I was an employee. Mary was there, silent, her hands clasped. New arrangement, Daniel had said. You're using up too much space in the house. The garage has everything you need. Mattress, sink, toilet. You stay out here unless you have permission to come inside. I started to protest. He cut me off. Your choice, Arthur. The garage? Or I call social services and have you evaluated for senile dementia. You decide. I moved my mattress that night, carried it through the kitchen while they watched television. Now, sitting in the August heat, with the dead flip phone in my hand, the full picture was clear. Every piece, every step of the trap. For weeks I'd been thinking like a victim, trapped, helpless, scared. But victims don't survive burning buildings. Firefighters do. And firefighters don't panic. They plan. They find the exits. They know the structure's weaknesses. They wait for the right moment. I got up and walked to my uniform. I touched the badge again. I remembered. In a fire. Sometimes you have to fall back to move forward. Sometimes you look beaten. But you are positioning yourself for the next move. Daniel thought he had won. He thought I was broken. He was wrong. I looked at my reflection in the garage window. Older, thinner, bruised. But my eyes were different now. Harder, clearer. I couldn't call Julian. Not yet. Not without a real phone. But Daniel had given me something valuable. Time. 2 weeks in this garage, watching them through that window. I had learned their patterns, their routines, when Daniel left for his afternoon walks, when Mary took her long baths, where they kept the spare keys, what the house sounded like when they slept. I had learned something else, too. I wasn't finished fighting, not by a long shot. The next day, something changed, something Daniel wasn't expecting. Friday afternoon, the garage had that particular quality of silence, not peaceful, just empty. I sat in the old wooden chair I'd dragged from the corner, watching the shadows lengthen through the window. My posture was different now, straighter. The bruise under my left eye had turned a purplish yellow. It was 2 days old from Daniel's accidental elbow, but something inside me had shifted since yesterday's memories. I was no longer just surviving. I was waiting. Then I heard it. The specific noise of Julian's Honda Accord, the one with the slightly loose exhaust he kept meaning to fix. My heart stopped in my chest. Hope and dread collided like chemical reactions. Not now. Not like this. He couldn't see me like this. But the engine cut off. The car door slammed, footsteps on the driveway. Through the small window, I watched the house. I couldn't see the front entrance from here, but I heard the door open. I heard Julian's voice, warm and unsuspecting. "Hey, anyone home? Where's Dad?" A pause. Then Mary, too fast, with the wrong tone of voice. "Julian, we didn't know you were coming. Dad is. Dad is in the garage, working on something." Daniel's voice cut in, casual but territorial. "Julian, long time." I stood up slowly, my hands trembling. Part of me wanted to yell, warn him somehow. Another part wanted to hide, preserve the illusion that everything was fine, protect my son from the truth, but my legs wouldn't move in either direction. "Where's the garage?" Julian asked. He knew where it was. He'd grown up in this house. The question was a challenge. The footsteps got closer. The garage door burst open, light from the house flooded the interior, and Julian's silhouette filled the entryway. Taller than I remembered, wider. His face emerged from the backlight, and I saw the emotions cross his features. Confusion, horror, shock. His eyes found mine, then dropped to the bruise, the mattress on the concrete, the single thin blanket. "Dad." His voice broke slightly. "Dad, what? What happened to your face?" I couldn't speak, couldn't form words. I just stood there like a specimen under examination. He crossed the space in 3 strides, grabbed my shoulder. "You're living in the garage. Why are you living in the garage? You have a pension, $7,000 every month." "Julian." My throat was dry. "You shouldn't have come." $7,000, Dad. Where is it?" "It's complicated, son." Daniel appeared in the doorway then, chest puffed out, filling the frame with his bulk. That smug expression I had come to know too well. "It's not complicated at all," Daniel said. "That pension belongs to me now. I control everything. Your father signed the papers." Julian turned slowly, drawing up to his full height. "Excuse me?" "Power of attorney. All legal." Daniel stepped into the garage like he owned it, which, in his mind, he did. He signed it over. "The money is mine. The house is mine. Well, it will be." "And this?" He gestured to the mattress, pointed to me. "This is where he lives now. House rules." From the doorway, Mary's voice came weakly. "Daniel, maybe we should—" "Shut up, Mary." Daniel didn't even look at her. "Your brother needs to understand how things work around here." Julian's jaw tightened. His hand moved to his wrist. To the watch there. An Omega, stainless steel catching the light. I had seen it before, at Christmas 2 years ago. He'd been proud of it. Company gift for hitting targets 3 years straight. He unclasped it. The click was loud in the silence. It rested in his palm for a moment. Then he set it on the dusty workbench with deliberate precision. "This watch is an Omega," Julian said, every word measured and cold. "The company gave it to me for hitting targets 3 years straight. It's worth about $8,000. He looked at Daniel. "Take it." Daniel blinked. "What?" "Take the watch. Take it. And get out of this house right now before I make a phone call you won't like." The watch? It sat between them on the workbench. $8,000 of stainless steel and craftsmanship sitting on sawdust and old oil stains. Daniel stared at it, then at Julian, then back at the watch. His face ran through calculations, greed, suspicion, anger. Behind him, Mary had gone pale, one hand pressed against the doorframe for balance. Take it, Julian repeated. Last chance. Daniel's mouth curved into that smile again, the one that said he had already won. He crouched down, picked up the watch, turned it over in his thick hands. Nice watch, he said, setting it down again. But why would I take $8,000 when I have $7,000 coming in every month for free? Julian's voice stayed level. That pension is not yours. It is now. Power of attorney, kid. All legal. Daniel crossed his arms, confident. You want to call the cops? Go ahead. They'll tell you the same thing. Your old man signed it. His choice. Julian's hand slid into his pocket. He pulled out his smartphone. Daniel's smile widened. Be my guest, Daniel said. They won't do anything. I have the paperwork. The pension is deposited into my account. This house, once he's declared incompetent, will be mine too. And he lives in the garage because those are the rules now. My rules. I watched Julian's face. I saw something shift behind his eyes. He held the phone casually, at an angle away from Daniel. His thumb moved on the screen, but he didn't bring it to his ear. You're forcing him to live out here, Julian said quietly. It wasn't a question. It was a goad. Forcing? Daniel laughed. He's free to leave any time he wants. Go find himself a nice nursing home, state facility for incompetent seniors. That's his other option. And you're spending his pension. My pension now, legally transferred. Like I said, the paperwork is all in order. Mary made a sound from the doorway, almost a whimper. Daniel, maybe we should just… Julian didn't look at her. His voice turned ice cold. Don't. Not a word, Mary. Jules, you don't understand. We needed… I'll talk to you later. Julian's eyes never left Daniel. Right now, I'm getting Dad out of here. Daniel took a step forward. He's not going anywhere. This is his home. Julian moved to my side. He put a gentle hand on my shoulder. Dad, stand up. We're leaving. I stood up. My legs felt weak, but Julian's grip steadied me. Daniel blocked the doorway. You can't just… move. Julian's voice carried something I'd never heard before. Not anger, something colder than that. Authority. Daniel hesitated. For the first time since this started, I saw doubt flicker on his face. Then he stepped aside. Julian guided me past him, past Mary, who was pressed against the wall, through the house that used to be mine. I didn't look at the furniture, the rearranged rooms, the life they had built with my money. I just kept walking, Julian's hand firm on my shoulder until we reached his car. He opened the passenger door, helped me inside like I was fragile. Maybe I was. We pulled out of the driveway. I saw the house recede in the side mirror. Daniel stood in the doorway, arms crossed, still with that confident smile. He had no idea what Julian had just done. The car felt like a different world. Clean, warm, safe. I sat in the passenger seat, my hands folded in my lap, watching the suburbs go by the window, evening lights turning on, people in their houses living normal lives. You shouldn't have seen that, I said finally. Julian's hands gripped the steering wheel. His jaw was tight. How long, Dad? How long has this been going on? 3 months since the papers? 2 weeks in the garage? The bruise? I touched my eye without thinking. 2 days ago. He gets mad when I ask questions about the money. The muscles in Julian's jaw worked. He didn't say anything else until we pulled into a Holiday Inn Express parking lot. He got out, came around, opened my door like I might shatter if handled roughly. We walked into the lobby together. He paid, with a corporate credit card, told the desk clerk. Visiting family. Got 2 key cards. The elevator ride was silent. The hallway was silent. He opened the room. 214. He held the door. 2 beds, clean white sheets, television, bathroom with real hot water. I stood in the middle of the room and felt something crack inside my chest. "Sit down, Dad." Julian pulled out the desk chair. "I'm ordering dinner." He called room service, ordered more food than 2 people could eat. Steak, baked potato, green beans, salad, bread, soup. When I started to protest the cost, he just shook his head. The food arrived 20 minutes later. Julian set it on the desk, handed me a fork and a knife. I looked at the steak, thick, cooked properly, steam rising, and my hands started to tremble. "When was the last time you ate?" Julian asked quietly. "Yesterday. 3 crackers." He watched me cut the first piece, watched me chew slowly, carefully, like someone who had forgotten what it felt like to be full. He didn't say anything, just watched, with an expression that made my chest hurt more than hunger ever had. I ate half the steak before I had to stop. My stomach had shrunk. Julian wrapped the rest, put it in the mini fridge for later. Then he pulled a legal notepad from his laptop bag, clicked a pen, sat across from me with the methodical air of someone starting a project report. "Tell me everything," he said. "From the beginning. When did Daniel first suggest the power of attorney?" So I told him. May, early May, Daniel's friendly offer, the papers on the kitchen table, Mary's encouraging smile, my signature on documents I had barely read. Julian took notes, asked specific questions, dates, amounts, exact words of conversations. He approached it like a logistics problem, gathering data, identifying patterns, finding vulnerabilities. "The exact words," he said. "Did Daniel say limited power of attorney?" "Yes. Limited to banking. Said I would maintain control of everything else." "But he redirected the pension. All of it. $7,500 a month for 3 months. $22,500. Julian wrote the number, circled it. "Has he threatened you? Besides the physical, the assisted living?" "He says he'll have me declared senile, incompetent. Says I'll die in a state facility." The pen stopped moving. Julian looked up. Something dangerous flickered behind his eyes. Then it disappeared again into professional calm. "This is elder financial abuse," he said. "Pennsylvania has specific laws and an illegal eviction. You own that house, right? Paid off 15 years ago. Deeds in my name. Then he's committed a crime. Multiple crimes." I shook my head. "He has the legal papers, Julian. Papers obtained under duress are not valid, and financial exploitation of an elderly person is a felony here." Julian flipped to a fresh page. "We need a lawyer specializing in elder law." "I can't afford it?" "I can." He looked me in the eyes. "Dad, this is what I do. Solving complex logistical problems. This is just another system to analyze. And Daniel made a mistake tonight." "What mistake?" His mouth curved slightly, not quite a smile. "He confessed. Everything. On recording." I stared at him. "You recorded it?" He pulled out his phone, tapped the screen. Daniel's voice filled the room. "That pension belongs to me now. I control everything. Your father signed the papers. The pension is deposited into my account. This house, once he's declared incompetent, will be mine too. And he lives in the garage because those are the rules now. My rules." Julian stopped the playback. "This is a one-party consent state, completely legal to record conversations you're part of. He confessed to financial control, illegal eviction, intimidation. That recording is evidence. For the first time in months, I felt something like hope. We talked until midnight. Julian made more notes, built timelines, outlined steps, legal consultation, documentation, medical records for the bruises, financial records for the theft, revoking the power of attorney, filing charges, protection orders. He broke it down like a project plan. Objectives, resources, timeline, obstacles. Watching him work, I saw the successful man he had become. Systematic, thorough, unyielding. Finally, exhausted. We both lay down in our separate beds. The room went dark. I heard Julian breathing in the other bed, awake like me. "Thank you," I said into the dark. "We're going to fix this, Dad. All of it." I believed him. The morning came too soon. Julian's alarm went off at 6 o'clock. He showered, packed. We checked out at 7 o'clock, stood in the parking lot by his car, neither of us ready to say goodbye. "I have to get back to Boston," he said. "Work. But I'll be back Friday, 1 week." I nodded. "And I'm going back to the garage." His face twisted. "Dad, you can stay here. I'll pay for the room all week. You don't have to." "No." I put a hand on his arm. "I'm going back. If I disappear, Daniel might do something unpredictable. Destroy evidence, run. But if I'm there in the garage, he'll think he won. He'll think you gave up." "Are you sure?" 40 years of fire taught me something. Sometimes you have to go back into the smoke to get what you need. I'll be fine for 1 week. And I'll be watching him, learning his patterns. Julian pulled something from his pocket. A phone. Small. Basic. Burner phone. "My number's programmed. If anything happens, anything at all, you call me." I took it. "Where do I hide it?" "Somewhere he won't think to look." I thought of my firefighter jacket. The inner lining had a small tear. Perfect. Julian hugged me, held on longer than necessary. 1 week, Dad. I promise." "I know." I watched him drive away, stood in that parking lot until his car disappeared around the corner. Then I walked back toward the house, toward the garage. My steps were firm. Daniel and Mary were watching from the living room window when I arrived. I saw the curtain move. I saw Daniel's face, that satisfied smirk back in place. He thought I'd tried to escape and failed. He thought Julian had abandoned me. He was wrong about both. I stepped into the garage, lay down on the mattress, looked at the ceiling, slid my hand into my pocket and felt the burner phone there. Small, solid, real. 1 week. I could survive 1 week. I'd survived worse. And this time I wasn't surviving alone. Julian texted when he reached Boston. "Arrived. Starting lawyer research tomorrow. Hang tight." Sunday. Another message. "Found 3 elder law specialists. Calling Monday." Daily check-ins after that. Short messages, but each one a lifeline. Daniel noticed I was calmer. It annoyed him. On Monday, he searched the garage while I used the house bathroom, a privilege granted 10 minutes a day. I watched from the window afterward as he poured through my few belongings, looking for money, looking for a phone, looking for anything Julian might have left. He found nothing. The burner was inside the lining of my firefighter jacket. 40 years of emergency preparation pays off. You learn to hide things where no one thinks to look. By Wednesday, Daniel was suspicious. He kept glancing at me through the kitchen window, trying to figure out why I wasn't begging anymore, why I wasn't pleading. By Thursday, he was paranoid. By Friday, the day Julian was supposed to return, It couldn't come fast enough. On Monday morning, I woke up before dawn. Old firefighter habit. Internal alarm clock. It never quite turns off. The garage was dark and cold. I reached into the lining of my jacket where the phone was hidden. My hands weren't shaking anymore. I had work to do. Julian had called Sunday night from Boston. Brief. Careful. Dad, document everything. Photos, dates, amounts. The lawyer needs proof. So that's what I did. I photographed the mattress first, then the concrete floor, the lack of insulation, the single blanket that did nothing against the cold, the rust-stained sink, the view from my window into the house where Daniel and Mary lived their comfortable life on my money. In a dusty corner, I found an old contractor's notebook, spiral-bound, half the pages still blank. I started writing. May 8th. Daniel suggested power of attorney, said it was only for convenience. May 10th. Signed papers on kitchen table. Mary present. Reassuring. June 15th. Discovered pension redirected to joint account, $7,500 missing. The dates came easier than I expected. Firefighter training again. We documented everything, every call, every incident. It turned out financial abuse had the same structure as any other emergency: timeline, evidence, witnesses. Through the garage window, I watched Tuesday unfold. A delivery truck pulled up around noon. 2 men wrestled a huge box toward the front door. 70-inch television, the logo visible even from my vantage point. Daniel directed them like a homeowner. Gestures of ownership, smug smile. I photographed it through the window. It wasn't perfect quality, but good enough. Timestamp. Clear picture. Later that afternoon, the SUV showed up. Brand new Ford Explorer, gleaming black. Temporary dealer tags visible. Daniel and Mary walked around it, admiring it. He had bought it without selling the old sedan, just added a second vehicle to the fleet. My fleet. My pension money. $28,000 of my retirement. And counting. I took more photos. The SUV, from multiple angles. Daniel unloading grocery bags from the trunk. Bottles of expensive whiskey visible. Premium labels I recognized from my own better days. On Tuesday night, Julian called. The lawyer's name is Valerie Torres. She specializes in elder law. We're meeting Wednesday at 3 o'clock. Coffee shop on Broad Street. That little independent place near the library. Can you get there? I'll tell Daniel I'm going for a walk. Be careful, Dad. Wednesday morning, Daniel was watching me. I felt his eyes through the kitchen window as I sat in the garage chair, pretending to read an old magazine I'd found. Around 2 o'clock, I got up, stretched, made a show of needing movement. Going for a walk, I yelled toward the house. Get some air. No response, just that feeling of being watched. I walked 6 blocks to the coffee shop. The world outside my garage felt strange. Normal people doing normal things. Buying coffee, laughing at phones, living lives that didn't involve sleeping on concrete floors. Julian was already there. Corner booth. The woman beside him was in her late 50s. Professional grey suit, leather briefcase on the table. She stood up as I approached, extended her hand. Mr. Smith, I'm Valerie Torres. Julian has told me about your situation. Before we begin, I need to hear it directly from you. Everything that has happened. I sat down, took a breath. Where do I start? Start with the power of attorney. When did Daniel first mention it? So I told her. The whole timeline. The friendly offer. That turned into a trap. The papers I signed without reading closely enough. The gradual theft of my pension, my autonomy, my home. The physical intimidation. The garage. Valerie took notes, quick shorthand, stopping me occasionally to clarify dates or amounts. She had the focused intensity of someone who had seen these cases before and knew exactly what mattered. When I finished, she pulled out a tablet, plugged in earbuds, pressed play. Daniel's voice filled the small space between us. That pension belongs to me now. I control everything. Your father signed the papers. The pension is deposited into my account. This house, once he's declared incompetent, will be mine too. She stopped the playback, took off the earbuds, looked me straight in the eye. Mr. Smith, the law is very clear on this. Financial exploitation of an elderly person over 60 years old is a felony. If you can prove the power of attorney was obtained through duress, and that recording certainly suggests it was, the document is voidable. But Daniel says it's legal, says the police won't help. He is wrong. She pulled papers from her briefcase. What he has done is elder financial abuse. The state takes this seriously. Furthermore, evicting you from your own home, that is unlawful detention and theft of property. She paused. So, we can stop him. But more importantly, we can charge him. Criminally. The word hung in the air. Criminally. Julian leaned forward. Tell her about your documentation, Dad. I showed her the notebook, the timeline, the amounts, the specific dates and incidents. Valerie studied each page, nodding. This is excellent, detailed, specific. This will be powerful in court. She looked up. You were a firefighter, 40 years, fire department. That training is saving you now. She scrolled through the photos on the burner phone Julian had shown her. These pictures, your living conditions, clear evidence, combined with the recording. She put the phone down. Mr. Smith, we have a strong case, but we need one more thing. What? Medical documentation. The bruises. The weight loss. We need a doctor to examine you and officially document them. Can you do that? When? Tomorrow, if possible. The fresher the documentation, the better. We talked for another hour. Valerie outlined the legal process, revoking the power of attorney, applying for protection orders, pursuing criminal charges, recovering the stolen pension. Every step precise, methodical, achievable. I had spent 3 months feeling helpless, 40 minutes with Valerie Torres, and I had a plan. When we left, Julian walked with me part of the way back. He stopped at the corner 2 blocks from the house. Are you okay, Dad? I'm fine. He hugged me. 1 more week, maybe less. I walked the last 2 blocks alone. Something felt wrong before I even turned onto my street. Daniel's SUV was parked crooked in the driveway, as if he'd been in a hurry. The garage door was slightly ajar. He always closed it completely. My hand went to my jacket pocket. I touched the outline of the burner phone. Still there. But something had changed. I could feel it. I pushed the garage door open. Daniel was sitting on my workbench, legs dangling, holding something in his hand. As my eyes adjusted to the dim light, I saw what it was. Pieces of a phone. A phone just like the one that was supposed to be in my pocket. My hand flew to my jacket. The pocket was empty, the lining ripped open. He had found it. My mattress was overturned. The firefighter jacket lay crumpled on the concrete, its inner lining torn. My few belongings scattered on the floor. He had trashed the place. Daniel held up the shattered phone, the screen hanging in fragments. His smile was triumphant. What is this, Arthur? Where did you get a phone? I made my voice small, subservient. Julian gave it to me, just to call him sometimes. Julian gave it to you? Julian who drove you away last week? Julian who thinks he can interfere? He slid off the workbench, used his height to loom over me. Who have you been talking to? Just Julian, I swear. Only my son. Liar. He stepped closer. You've been leaving the garage every day. Where are you going? Walks, just walks, to get air. He threw the phone pieces at my feet, plastic and glass, scattered on the concrete. You think I'm stupid? You think I don't notice things? My heart hammered, but my mind stayed clear. The phone was a decoy. The real evidence was already with Valerie. The photos were sent Tuesday. The timeline was in Julian's email. Monday night. This phone? Let him think he found the threat. You want to know something funny, old man? Daniel's voice dropped lower, more dangerous. That power of attorney you signed? It's not just financial. It's medical, too. I can make healthcare decisions for you. The ice spread across my chest. Medical? That's right. So if I decide you're not competent, if I decide you need to be in a nursing home, a locked ward for dementia patients, I can do that. One phone call. From the doorway, Mary's voice came in a whisper. Daniel? Shut up, Mary. He didn't turn around. Your father needs to understand his position. I looked at my daughter, met her eyes, silent plea. Stop him. Help me. You're my daughter. She looked away. That was when I knew. Completely. She had chosen Daniel over me. Not passively. Actively. Please. I let my voice tremble. Not all of it was acting. The medical threat was real, terrifying. I'm sorry, I won't cause trouble. You're right. You won't. Daniel picked up my jacket, examined the torn lining. No more phones, no more walks without permission, and no dinner tonight. You need to learn. He walked out. Mary followed him without looking back. I stood in the wreckage of my searched garage, surrounded by broken phone pieces and scattered belongings. Slowly, I righted the mattress, picked up my jacket. The lining was destroyed, but the jacket itself was intact. Night came. My stomach cramped with hunger. Daniel had made good on his threat. No dinner. But I had eaten at the coffee shop with Julian and Valerie. I would survive. Around 7 o'clock, I walked over to the neighbour's house, the Johnsons, 50 feet away. I'd known Helen and Frank for 15 years, since I moved in after my wife died. Good couple, kept to themselves, mostly. But they had noticed things. I'd seen Helen watching from her window sometimes, when Daniel treated me badly. I knocked quietly. Helen Johnson opened the door. Her expression shifted instantly from surprise to concern. Arthur, are you all right? Helen, I'm sorry to bother you. I need to ask a favor. Come in. Come in. Frank. Frank, Arthur is here. Frank came out of the living room, took one look at me, and his face hardened. My God. What has happened to you? In their warm kitchen, with the coffee Helen insisted on making, I explained. Not everything. Didn't mention the lawyer yet. But enough. Daniel took my phone. I need to contact my son. Family matters being handled. Helen and Frank exchanged a long look. Years of marriage, reading each other without words. Arthur, Helen said carefully, we've been worried. We see things. How you're living in that garage. It's being managed, I said. I have help. I just need a way to communicate. Frank stood up decisively. Use our phone anytime, day or night. We mean it. How long has this been going on? Helen asked. Months. But it will be over soon. She reached across the table, put her hand over mine. We should have said something sooner. We should have done something. You are doing it now. That's what matters. Frank gave me his cell phone number written on a piece of paper. Told me the back door was always unlocked if I needed to come over when they were out. They even told me where the spare key was under the mat. I walked back to my garage, feeling less alone than I had in months. That night, from the Johnsons' house, I called Julian. I told him about the phone Daniel found. He laughed, really laughed. Dad, that phone was backup. Everything is already with Valerie. He didn't find anything important. He has medical power of attorney. He threatened the nursing home. Julian's voice went cold. Forward that to Valerie. She needs to know. But Dad, it doesn't matter. We move Friday. Medical exam Thursday, then paperwork Friday. Hold on until then. Thursday morning, Daniel cut my food again. Breakfast was 2 crackers. Dinner would be the same if I got dinner at all. The shower schedule changed too. Once a week now. Only on Sundays. He was tightening this cage, trying to break whatever spirit he felt hadn't been broken yet. But I had an appointment that day. Valerie had arranged it. Medical exam at a downtown clinic. Documentation of the bruises, the weight loss, the effects of Daniel's abuse. Not just for court, for the criminal charges Valerie said were coming. I told Daniel I was going for a walk. He watched me go with suspicious eyes, but didn't say anything. He probably figured I had nowhere to go, no way to cause trouble. He was wrong. At the clinic, Dr. Anna Perez examined me thoroughly, asked questions I answered honestly. She photographed the yellowish bruise under my eye, weighed me. I'd lost 23 pounds in 3 months. Documented muscle wasting, signs of malnutrition, stress indicators. Mr. Smith, she said quietly, filling out forms. I am mandated to report this. What they are doing to you is abuse. It is being reported, I said, by a lawyer. Criminal charges are coming. She handed me copies of everything. Good. You deserve better than this. Walking back, I stopped at the Johnsons' house. Helen made me lunch, real lunch, sandwich and soup and fruit. Frank sat with me while I ate, talking about nothing important, giving me the gift of normal conversation. That night, lying on my thin mattress with hunger cramping my stomach despite the lunch, I thought about time. How it moves differently when you are waiting for rescue. How days feel like weeks. But I had survived worse. Burning buildings, smoke inhalation, collapsed structures. I could survive my own son-in-law for a little while longer. Friday morning, I walked to the corner grocery store, not because I needed groceries. The milk was just an alibi, but because I needed to shop there at exactly 9:15, when Julian would be driving past. Daniel saw me leave. I felt his eyes from the kitchen window, but I'd been taking walks all week, my new hobby since the phone incident. He was suspicious, but he let me go. He probably assumed I had nowhere to go, no way to cause trouble. He was wrong. Julian's Honda pulled into the parking lot at 9:17. He got out, looked up, feigned surprise. Dad, what are you doing here? I held up the gallon of milk I'd bought with change. Julian, I didn't know you were coming to town. Last-minute decision. Wanted to check on you. His eyes met mine, dropped to the milk. He understood everything. Let me buy you breakfast. Real breakfast. We need to talk. 20 minutes later. We were at the medical clinic. Dr. Anna Perez was waiting for us. Valerie had briefed her beforehand. Professional courtesy between people who deal with abuse cases regularly. Dr. Perez was thorough. Photographed every bruise from multiple angles. Medical-grade camera capturing details invisible to phone cameras. Measured my weight. £152, down from my normal 175. Tested reflexes, cognitive function, checked for signs of malnutrition. "Mr. Smith," she said, writing notes, "these bruises are in different stages of healing. This one is about 4 days old. This one is closer to 2 weeks. Can you tell me how you got them?" I told her. Daniel's shove on Wednesday. Other incidents I'd stopped tracking because they blurred together. "And your weight loss?" "Limited food. He controls when I eat and how much." She stopped writing, looked at me directly, the professional mask slipping. "Mr. Smith, I am required by law to report suspected elder abuse, but I want you to know, I am not just reporting this because I have to. I am reporting it because what I am seeing here is clear evidence of systematic abuse. No one should live like this." Her written report was 15 pages. Detailed measurements, clinical observations, attached photographs. She used terms like deliberate deprivation and pattern consistent with long-term physical abuse. Medical language that would carry weight in court. The weekend dragged. Valerie was finalizing documents, triple-checking evidence, preparing filings. Julian stayed in a hotel, but visited Saturday and Sunday bringing food, making sure I ate properly for the first time in months. Monday morning, Valerie called from the Johnsons' phone. Mr. Smith, the documents are filed. All 3 actions. Daniel will be served Wednesday." What happens then? He has to respond. But more importantly, I've applied for emergency temporary orders. We should hear back within 48 hours. Temporary orders? Freezing his access to your accounts, allowing you back into your house. We can't wait for the full trial. You need protection now. Wednesday afternoon, I was in the garage when I heard shouting from the house. Daniel's voice, loud and escalating. Then Mary's, sharp with panic. The process server had arrived. Through the window, I watched the scene unfold. Daniel tearing open the envelope, reading. His face going from confusion to understanding to fury. "Mary!" he roared. She came running from the kitchen. He waved papers at her. "Your father is suing me. He got a lawyer. He's trying to get everything back." His voice was clearly audible. "Adult Protective Services, financial exploitation. Mary. This says criminal investigation." I sat on my mattress and allowed myself a small smile. The counterattack had begun. That night, from the Johnsons' phone, I listened as Julian described Daniel's frantic search for a lawyer. Lawyer after lawyer, declining once they reviewed the evidence. The recording was the killer. Daniel bragging about controlling the pension, forcing me into the garage. What he had thought was a demonstration of power had become a confession to multiple crimes. Finally, Daniel found someone. The lawyer, James Kovacs, recently graduated, solo practitioner, desperate for clients. "Can we win?" Daniel had apparently asked. Long pause in the recording Julian played for me. Then Kovacs' voice. "We can try." Even his own lawyer knew they were doomed. Thursday morning, I woke up to my phone. The Johnsons' landline, which they had been letting me keep in the garage overnight. Valerie's voice was crisp, professional, excited. "Emergency orders granted. Effective immediately, Daniel's financial access is frozen, and Mr. Smith has the right to move back into his house today." I sat on the thin mattress one last time, looked around the garage that had been my prison for 3 weeks. The concrete floor, the single light bulb, the window through which I had watched my life being stolen. Then I got up, gathered my few possessions into a plastic bag, and walked toward the front door. Daniel was in the living room watching. "I'm moving back inside," I said. "Guest room." He stood up. "You can't just..." I held up the printed court order Julian had emailed to the Johnsons. The court order says I can. Section 2, paragraph 3. Read it if you like. His voice, it turned dangerous. You're making a mistake, old man. I met his eyes. There was no fear there anymore, only cold certainty. The only mistake I made was trusting you. That won't happen again. I walked past him into the guest room, closed the door, turned the lock. The click of that lock was the sweetest sound I had heard in months. Thursday morning, 10:15. Officer Jessica Ruiz pulled into the driveway in a county vehicle marked Adult Protective Services. I watched from my new window, the guest room window, not the garage. As Daniel smoothed his shirt, arranged his face into a welcoming expression, and opened the front door before she could knock. Good morning. You must be Inspector Ruiz. Welcome. Welcome. We're so glad you're here to clear up this misunderstanding. I'd seen enough performances in my firefighting career. People lying to investigators after an arson, claiming electrical fires when they burned down their own businesses for the insurance. Daniel sounded exactly like that. Too helpful, too smooth. Officer Ruiz, carrying a tablet and a professional camera, did not return the smile. I am Jessica Ruiz from Adult Protective Services. We received a complaint about the living situation here. I need to interview everyone in the household and inspect the premises. Mary appeared, radiating nervous energy. Can I get you coffee, water? We want to help any way we can. Officer Ruiz ignored the offer of hospitality. Let's start with the garage. I understand Mr. Smith has been staying there. Daniel's performance stumbled. He wanted privacy, independence. We offered him a room, but he preferred. Show me. They walked toward the garage. I stayed in my room, listening through the wall. I heard Jessica's camera clicking, heard her voice, cool and professional. No heat source, no toilet, a mattress on concrete. You expect me to believe a 68-year-old man chose this over a room in the house? He's stubborn. You know how old people can be. I know how elder abuse presents, Mr. Matthews, and this looks exactly like it. The interview at the kitchen table came next. Daniel and Mary were sent to the living room. Jessica knocked on my door. Mr. Smith, I need to speak with you privately. We sat across from each other. She put her tablet between us, started recording. Mr. Arthur Smith, I need you to be completely honest with me. Are you afraid of Daniel? Yes. Has he physically harmed you? Yes, multiple times. The most recent was last week. I touched the fading bruise under my eye. Have there been others? Did you choose to live in the garage? No. He forced me out 3 weeks ago. Said it was the new rule. I own this house. I paid it off 15 years ago. But he has power of attorney. He controls my pension. He controls everything. I paused. Controlled. Past tense now. She wrote quickly. The power of attorney. Did you sign it willingly? He pressured me. Threatened to put me in a nursing home if I didn't cooperate. I was scared. 20 minutes of questions. I answered each one with facts, dates, specific incidents, no embellishment needed. The truth was damning enough. After my interview, Jessica spoke to Daniel and Mary separately. Their stories were too coordinated, too rehearsed. I heard snippets through the walls, phrases that sounded scripted, explanations that contradicted my timeline. Then Jessica left, walked next door, to the Johnsons. She was there for 45 minutes. When she returned, her professional mask had cracks, controlled anger simmering underneath. She took more photographs of the garage, measurements, notes. Then she left without saying goodbye to Daniel. Friday morning, the temporary orders arrived, Julian called me on the Johnsons' phone, excited. Dad, check your email. Valerie had sent the court order. I was at the Johnsons' computer. I read the document slowly. Daniel Matthews is hereby prohibited from accessing any financial accounts belonging to Arthur Smith. Does that mean? It means he can't touch your money, not $1. And look at Section 2. Arthur Smith is guaranteed the immediate right to reside in his primary residence. I was already inside, but the order made it official, legal, uncontestable. What about Daniel? He can't stop you. If he tries, he's in contempt of court. That evening, Mary knocked on my door. Her face was streaked with crying. Dad, can we talk? What do you want, Mary? How could you do this? We're your family. We took you in when? I opened the door wider, looked at my daughter, this woman who had watched her husband abuse me for months and said nothing. Took me in. This is my house, Mary. I own it. And you didn't take me in. You stole from me, starved me, and forced me to sleep in a garage. It wasn't like that. Daniel was just trying to help manage things. Family doesn't do what you did. Family doesn't stand by while their father is abused. You made your choice, Mary. You chose him over me. Now live with that choice. I'm still your daughter. I closed the door. Then you should have acted like one. The weekend passed in cold silence. Daniel barely left his room. Mary cried through the walls. I stayed in the guest room, door locked, eating the food Julian brought, regaining strength. Valerie called Sunday afternoon. The final hearing is Friday, 1 week. Judge Morrison will hear both sides and make permanent decisions on the power of attorney, financial restitution, and housing. The Protective Services report will be part of the record. What about the criminal charges? Jessica is recommending prosecution. The district attorney will decide after the civil hearing. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Each day dragged toward Friday. Julian arrived Thursday night. He stayed at a hotel, but came to the house early Friday morning. I walked out to his car. Daniel was watching from the living room window. I saw the curtain move. I didn't look back. Ready, Dad? Julian asked. I buckled my seatbelt. The courthouse was 20 minutes away. 20 minutes, until everything was decided. I've been ready for months, I said. Let's get this done. On Tuesday morning, Julian parked in the courthouse visitor lot. Through the windshield, I could see the Court of Common Pleas building, all granite and glass, imposing in that way government buildings are designed to be. Ready, Dad? Julian asked. Was I ready? Ready to face Daniel in front of a judge? Ready for strangers to scrutinize my humiliation, my bruises, my garage mattress on a courtroom screen? Let's go, I said. Because ready or not, this was happening. And I preferred to face it standing up than to hide from it beaten. Valerie was waiting outside courtroom 5. Navy suit, leather briefcase, the picture of professional confidence. She shook my hand. Good morning. How are you feeling, Mr. Sipith? Nervous? Ready? That's good. Nerves keep you sharp. She glanced at her watch. The judge has allocated 2 hours for this hearing. I'll present our evidence first. Medical, photographic, financial, and audio. Kovacs will attempt to rebut. Then she will rule. Could be today. Could be next week. But given the temporary orders, I expect a decision today. Inside, the courtroom was exactly what I expected. High ceilings, wood paneling, the judge's bench raised like an altar of justice. Daniel sat at the defense table with the lawyer Kovacs, wearing a suit that didn't quite fit. Mary beside him, her face pale. Daniel's eyes met mine, held them for a moment, then looked away. Judge Patricia Hernandez entered precisely at 10 o'clock. Late 60s, close-cropped grey hair, the kind of face that had seen everything twice and wasn't impressed either time. Be seated. Councillor Torres, you may proceed with your opening statement. Valerie stood up. Thank you, Your Honour. This case is straightforward. The defendant, Daniel Matthews, systematically exploited his father-in-law through financial manipulation, physical abuse, and unlawful housing deprivation. We have medical evidence, photographic evidence, financial records, witness testimony, and, most damningly, an audio recording of Mr. Matthews confessing to these actions. She clicked her remote. The courtroom screen lit up with Dr. Perez's medical report. Photographs of my bruises, purple, yellow, green, in various stages of healing. The judge leaned forward, reading. Then came the garage photos, the thin mattress, the concrete floor, the single bare bulb, the rusty sink, each image more damning than the last. Judge Hernandez's expression hardened. Financial records next, bank statements highlighted in yellow. $7,500, redirected monthly, expenditure records. $42,000 for the SUV, $3,000 for the television, hundreds for premium liquor. Then Valerie played the recording. Daniel's voice filled the courtroom, arrogant and clear. That pension belongs to me now. I control everything. Your father signed the papers. The money is mine. The house is mine. Well, it will be. And this? Here is where he lives now. House rules. Silence when it finished. Heavy, damning silence. Please stipulate that the recording is the proof of, Judge Hernandez said. Councillor Torres, is that the defendant's voice? Yes, Your Honour, recorded by Julian Smith, during a confrontation on the property. Pennsylvania is a one-party consent state. The recording was legally obtained. The judge looked at Daniel. Mr. Matthews, is that your voice? Yes, and you made those statements. I am. It was taken out of context. What context makes that pension belongs to me now acceptable when discussing another person's retirement income? Daniel didn't say anything. The lawyer Kovacs attempted his defense. The power of attorney was signed willingly, family dispute, not abuse. Arthur was free to leave at any time. The judge's questions tore through every argument. Mr. Matthews, you are under oath. Did you or did you not use Mr. Smith's pension funds to purchase a vehicle for your personal use? We needed transportation. A $40,000 SUV. Mr. Smith already owned a functional vehicle, correct? Yes. But did you ask his permission before spending his money? Pause. Then quietly. No. Did Mr. Smith live in the garage by his own choice? It was complicated. Space issues in a 3-bedroom house occupied by 3 people. Try again. Silence. Let me be more direct. Did you tell Mr. Smith he had to live in the garage? Very quietly. Yes. The judge leaned back, studied Daniel for a long moment. I have heard sufficient evidence to render my ruling. Mr. Matthews, Mrs. Matthews, please stand. They stood. Mary was shaking. I find that the power of attorney was obtained through duress and threats. Even had it been signed willingly, the subsequent use constitutes financial exploitation under the statute. The power of attorney is voided in its entirety, effective immediately. She paused. Let it sink in. Furthermore, I find that Mr. Matthews misappropriated approximately $28,000 of Mr. Smith's pension funds. Restitution in that amount is ordered, payable within 90 days. Mary whispered something I couldn't hear. Third, regarding the housing situation, Mr. Smith is the legal owner of the property. Mr. and Mrs. Matthews are ordered to vacate the premises within 48 hours. Failure to comply will result in police assistance. Daniel's face went white. 48 hours? That is Thursday at noon. Finally, I am issuing a protection from abuse order. Mr. and Mrs. Matthews are prohibited from contacting Mr. Smith or coming within 500 feet of his person or property. Long pause. One more thing. The evidence presented here suggests criminal conduct, specifically financial exploitation of an elderly adult, which is a felony. I am referring this matter to the District Attorney's Office for review and potential prosecution. The gavel struck. Court is adjourned. In the hallway, Mary approached me crying, "Dad, please, we didn't mean." I took a step back. "No, just no. We'll pay you back. We'll fix this. You had months to fix it. You chose not to." Julian positioned himself between us. "The judge issued a no-contact order. You need to leave." Daniel yanked Mary away, his voice venomous. "This isn't over." Valerie stepped forward. "Actually, Mr. Matthews, yes it is. And if you violate that protection order, you will be arrested. I suggest you spend the next 48 hours packing, not making threats." We walked out into the afternoon sunlight. The contrast was stark. From the dim courtroom to the bright August day. From testimony to vindication. Valerie shook my hand on the courthouse steps. "You'll receive the written order within 24 hours. Enforcement begins immediately. If they are not out by Thursday at noon, call the police." Julian hugged me. "It's over, Dad. You won." It wasn't entirely over. Daniel and Mary had 48 hours to pack and leave. Thursday at noon. I would walk back into my house, truly mine again. But standing there on those courthouse steps, breathing free air, knowing the judge had seen the truth and ruled in my favor, that felt like winning. Tuesday night, we sat in Julian's hotel room. Valerie had gone home, but she had left us copies of the court order, highlighted sections marking our victories. "You should stay here until they're gone," Julian said. "I've already paid for the room until Friday." I nodded. I wasn't afraid of Daniel anymore. The court had neutralized him, but I didn't want to watch him pack. I didn't want to share space with him for even one more night. "Thursday at noon," I said, reading the order again. "They have to be out by Thursday. At noon. 2 more days. I can wait 2 more days." Wednesday afternoon, I drove past the house, saw boxes through the windows, frenzied packing chaos. Mary saw me from the living room. She came out, her face tear-streaked. "Dad, please, can we talk?" I kept the car running, but lowered the window. "What is there to say, Mary?" "I'm sorry, I know I should have stopped him. I should have protected you." "You're right. You should have. You made your choice when you let him put me in that garage, when you stood by and watched him starve me." I was scared. Daniel, he controlled everything. I didn't know how. I was scared too. I was 68 years old, being hit and hungry. And you're my daughter. You should have helped me. "I know. I am so sorry. I love you, Mary. You are still my daughter. But the trust is broken. Maybe someday we can fix it. But right now, I need you to leave my house and let me heal." She sobbed. "I understand. Goodbye, Mary." I drove away without looking back. Thursday at 11:45, Julian and I stood in the driveway. At 11:52, a moving truck pulled out. Daniel driving, Mary in the passenger seat, both looking straight ahead. The truck disappeared around the corner. Silence. Then I walked to the front door. My door. inserted my key, walked inside. The house was empty of their presence, keys on the kitchen counter, rooms cleared out. The silence was different now, not oppressive, but peaceful. "Welcome home, Dad," Julian said behind me. Friday became the day of restoration. The locksmith arrived at 9 o'clock, changed every lock, front door, back door, garage, basement. I put the new keys in my pocket. "The old keys are useless now," the locksmith confirmed. "Good," I said. "I want him to have nothing that works here ever again." At the bank, the manager closed my old accounts, opened new ones with two-factor authentication. Even if Mr. Matthews tried to present the old power of attorney, our system would flag it immediately. "It's really over then," I said. "From a banking perspective." "Yes, sir. Your money is yours again." The security cameras came next. Front door, back door, motion sensors. The technician showed me the monitoring app on my phone. "You can see who is at your door before you answer," he explained. Layer by layer, I reclaimed control. Physical security, financial security, peace of mind. Saturday morning, the Johnsons arrived with a pie, still warm. "Welcome home, Arthur," Frank said. "Properly home." "Thank you. For the pie, and for everything. For testifying. For letting me use your phone. For caring." "We should have done more sooner," Helen said. "You did enough. You did what mattered." We sat in my living room again, sharing coffee and pie. Talking about normal things. The weather. Neighborhood gossip. The upcoming block party. Normal conversation. A gift I hadn't realized I'd lost until I had it back. After they left, Julian and I sat together in comfortable silence. I held my coffee in my favorite mug, the one I'd retrieved from the back of the cabinet where Mary had hidden it. On the mantelpiece, an old family photo. My late wife, young Mary, teenage Julian, all smiling, all together. A family that no longer existed in that form, but whose love still shaped who I had become. "How do you feel, Dad? Really?" "Tired. Relieved. Strange." "Strange how?" "I'm in my own house, drinking coffee from my own mug, sitting in my own chair. Things that were normal 6 months ago feel like luxuries now." "They should never have been taken from you." "No, they shouldn't have." I paused. "You know what I keep thinking about? 40 years I spent running into burning buildings, saving people, and I never thought I'd one day need to save myself from my own family." "But you did save yourself. You stood up for yourself. You won." "I did. With your help." I looked at him. "What you did. Coming when you did. Believing me. Finding Valerie. I couldn't have done it alone." "You shouldn't have had to at all. But I'm proud of you, Dad. Facing Daniel. Gathering evidence. Going through that hearing. That took courage." I smiled slightly. "Even at 68, you can still be strong. You can still fight. You can still win." "What's next for you?" "Living. Just living. In my house. With my pension. On my terms. That's enough." 1 month later, the mail brought news. First, a formal notification. Daniel Matthews charged with felony financial exploitation, facing 2 to 4 years in prison. Second, a handwritten letter. Mary's careful script. "Dear Dad, I know this letter can't fix what I did. I know I'm sorry isn't enough, but I need you to know. I cooperated with the prosecutors. I told them everything. They offered me probation if I testified against Daniel, and I took it. Daniel is facing prison now. I am ashamed it took losing everything to see what he was. What I let him do to you, I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I hope that someday, maybe years from now, we can talk again. I love you, Dad. I always did. Mary. I read it twice, then I folded it carefully and placed it in my desk drawer. Not thrown away, not answered yet, just saved. For later, for someday, for when I was ready. Maybe we would talk again, maybe not. I would decide on my own timeline. That night, I sat in my living room as the sun set. My house, my chair, my life. Outside, the Johnsons were working in their garden. A couple walked their dog past my driveway. Normal suburban evening. I had spent 3 months in that garage. 3 months afraid, hungry, humiliated. But I had survived, more than survived. I had fought back and won. The pension was mine. The house was mine. The dignity was mine. And sitting there in the peaceful silence of my restored life, that was everything. If you enjoyed this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts on this story in the comments. To hear the next story, click the box on the left. Thank you for watching.